All right, we are live, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Deconversion Stories. And today I'm talking with my good friend Taylor, who's also known as Flow State. He does have a Twitter, a Facebook, a YouTube, and a Patreon. So all the links are down below if you're interested after hearing what we're going to be talking about to follow him on either one of those or help support him. That would be fantastic. Definitely worth it. I've watched a bunch of his videos and he talks about some really, really important stuff, psychology and stuff like that. So, and we'll get into that a little bit afterwards. So, basically, Taylor, what I do here is I talk to people about whether or not they had belief systems, what they did to finally realize it was nonsense, move away from it, and get into sort of the state that they're in today, whether it be atheist, agnostic, etc. You know, the whole spiel. Sure. So, why don't you take us back to, see, I'm not even sure if you were ever a believer, but we can sort of get into that. So take us back to the beginning times when you kind of had a belief of something or whatnot. And
so the beginning time, I was. Do you have something else? Or you want me to take it?
No, go ahead. Give her.
Okay. So I was raised here in the Midwest in a kind of a typical white bread Christian family.
Gotcha.
I am baptized, and I was raised technically in RLDS, Reorganized Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, which is an offshoot of Mormonism.
Yes.
And
the very nice TV commercials.
Do they have them?
Yeah, I just remember seeing Church of Latter-day Saints TV commercials and so how they treat people nicely and all that crap. So yeah.
See, I don't remember any of that stuff. I really wasn't raised in that intense of a religious environment. It almost seemed obligatory, or like our family was sort of tipping the hat to tradition.
Okay, sure.
More than anything, and
like a cultural thing, or
sort of cultural, family. The further away you got from my family nucleus, the more you'd find little niches of intense religious belief. Personally, it wasn't really a huge thing for me. I don't feel like I really had a deconversion moment because that literal belief wasn't ever something that was just really present that much. So I never liked identifying. I never self-identified as I believe this, as any sort of black and white descriptor. Be it Christian. I suppose Christian was adopted just, it's just one of those things,
Sure.
But I never really thought about it. So deconverting for me wasn't a big ta-da moment. And I'd say if I had to identify myself now, agnostic would be the best way to do it. I never understood actually that's something interesting about you, is I never understood the purpose of atheism as an identity or as a thing until I stumbled across your channel, and I've heard other people's stories. And one thing that's really jumped out at me is that a lot of people have had really negative experiences with religion that I never personally had.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
So.
Sure. I mean, I didn't really either, except, you hear of things like I heard through my community, I mean, of course, there's always the things that I still don't think are necessary, like circumcision and stuff like that. But of course, I was circumcised, fucking 12 days after I was born. And I really don't have any memory. Although I can't say with any accuracy, like, absolute accuracy, that it didn't affect me in any way, but I've never realized anything if it did.
Right.
I just thought that was just the way it was. Right. And I just never bothered me. I don't experience any phantom pains or anything like that, but
you don't miss your foreskin.
Yeah, no, what do you miss if you've never really realized you had it? How do you miss it?
Exactly. I never missed mine either.
Right. Somewhere there's a rabbi who's making little wallets out of these things.
And mine wasn't ever a religious thing either. I'm pretty sure it was just aesthetics.
I think so. And there was a period, especially 70s, 80s, and early 90s, where it just seemed to be the thing to do because everyone thought it might be cleaner. right? Oh, you're cleaner, but that's turned out to be bullshit anyway. So now you see it probably a lot less unless you're in some sort of religious setting. But yeah, so did you have a lot of like were any of your relatives highly religious or your friends or anything like that?
And I could say on my paternal side, you get more of that. So yeah, my grandparents were, and that they were, and that's something that I suppose didn't impact me personally enough to have a huge bearing on my life, but I can, from where I'm sitting and from what I've heard, it doesn't look like it was a great impact on people. Okay. Just generally. So yeah, on my dad's side of the family, there is some more of that, but he was sort of the loosey-goosey member of the family, and I'm certainly the black sheep even more. So, yeah, I mean, I was around it, but I think personally I was spared a lot of the strife that comes with that being a mandatory part of your being. Right.
So nobody basically, even some of your more religious family members, never really forced anything on you.
No, and I mean, to some extent, where it was forced or expected, there was sort of a don't ask, don't tell attitude towards that personally. So if it was one of the Sundays we're going to church, if it's one of the Sundays we're going to church and I'm at church and I'm dressed, I'm doing my part. Nobody needs to look any deeper.
Right. I think that might have been God trying to shut you down there.
It might have been. Well, what I've got here is when I have this light on right above my head, it gives kind of a weird, shitty look. Yeah. So I moved in the security light, and it's got a motion sensor, but it's
I see. So
I'm sitting too still.
Oh, you better keep moving around or something. Or can't you adjust the setting?
We just moved into this place, and I'm still trying to get my bearings. I started setting up in the garage where I normally am because I like to smoke. Yeah. I don't smoke in the house here.
Right.
But
sure. I mean, I don't smoke inside here either because, well, technically there's rules that you're not supposed to. So I just go out front and have them. But, and there's a few smokers in the building. So it's kind of like a little party happening out there every couple hours. There's a bunch of us out there smoking and drinking and stuff like that. So
sure. Smoking is one of the most social bad habits.
Yes, it is. It is. And I've tried to quit like a couple of times, or a few times actually. And I've gone like a year each time. And then something like when my dad passed away, I was like depressed and upset and started drinking and smoking. And I find that this does not make quitting easy because if you're drinking, you want to smoke, right? So
they seem to go hand in hand. One bad habit left, and I'm going to keep it.
Oh, yeah. Well, I want to quit, but it's not that easy to do. So
it's not.
Eventually, I'll probably just say fuck it, and that's it. But
yeah,
who knows when that'll come. But it looks like my friend Inquisitive Quandary, my moderator extraordinaire, has put your Teespring link in there, which I had no idea about. That was probably the little globe symbol on your YouTube channel that I didn't click on for some reason.
You got to click all the links. Yeah, and I haven't. I appreciate the link drop. I need to update my catalog.
I need to start one.
I kind of let mine slack a lot. I think I've sold 4 shirts, including the sample shirt I bought myself. So after the initial open, it just kind of fell off.
Oh, well, hopefully, you do quite a few videos. So hopefully some attention from that. People will be like, I like the way this guy thinks. And then they'll buy some of your merch. So
I do a lot of videos, and I do get some revenue off of professional typings, really, which is
very cool.
Yeah, that's a much better and more in-demand product than my t-shirts.
Very cool. Yeah, I really should start up one too. I just actually got this in the mail yesterday. Finally, after 2 months, ordered it 2 months ago. It's the Atheist Edge t-shirt, my friend Jim. So I've been on his show a couple of times. So I figured, this is one of the ways to help support each other is to buy the merch and stuff like that. And there's still a few that I want to buy, right? Like I like that. Actually, before we go any further into the whole psychology realm, I wanted to ask you, I've looked it up myself, but I want you to share with the audience what flow state actually is.
Flow State, when I started the channel, it was me and a buddy. There was two of us. And over the course of time, I took over the channel. He made the name. And the way that the name came about is he and I were having a discussion about, and it was in context of our type. If anyone's familiar with Jungian psychology or Enneagram, we're both SLE type 8s, which probably doesn't mean anything. But basically, we enter our flow state in emergency situations. And it's kind of it's like a blessing and a curse. You know, it's great to have when you need it, but you're not ever actually going to, you know, to top off your performance, shit has to be hitting the fan around you. So that discussion is where the name came out of.
Okay. But what would you consider a definition of that to be?
Of flow state? So I guess I haven't defined it, but flow state is, to me, when we're talking about it, it's when you enter your stride. You're doing something, you're so in the moment that you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking, you're just doing. And
right.
For both of us, we experience it as time slows down.
Cool.
Yeah. So
yeah, it's just here. It's like colloquially is being in the zone, a mental state which a person performing an activity is fully immersed and feeling energized and focused.
Exactly. I would imagine that you can find that flow state when you're playing guitar. Guitar, right?
Oh, I'm a singer. I can play a little guitar, but I'm really not that good at it. So
right. I'm not a musician, but I know that people find it when they're playing music. And
yes.
I used to be more of an athlete. And I can find it in sports, art, you know, whatever that thing is that can take people into sort of a whole different out of the moment and into the activity.
Right.
That's what I consider flow state. And so both he and I are able to find that stride in absolute shitballs chaos.
I like what IQ says. I hit my flow state after about 5 or 6 beers, and I kind of got to agree with him.
Oh yeah. Well, if you're playing pool, there is that 5, 6, 7 beer flow state, and then by the 8th or the 9th beer, you're shit.
Yeah. There's no more flow state after that. It's more like drunk state.
Right.
There's no focus when you're drunk.
No, there's not. But sometimes it works out. Sometimes you don't even know that you're sucking, and you think you're in flow state, and that's enough.
Yeah, I suppose. Sure. So, you know, psychologically, in your own impression of yourself, yeah, for sure.
If you can convince yourself enough to convince whatever chick you're hitting on, then it's a success.
I've been there before, and I failed miserably a few times. So, you know, you think you're doing everything right, and it's just like, damn it, what did I do wrong? How about you approached her and you were hammered and didn't know what the fuck you were mumbling about?
That spilled a drink on her.
Yeah. Or they spill a drink on you, like Shannon Q did when I met her at Faithless Forum.
Well, then you're in a good spot.
Well, she had a glass of wine and she ran over to give me a hug, and of course it spilled all down my back. But I was wearing leather, so it kind of went like water off.
Oh, that's not bad. You can just squeegee that off.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't, of course, have a squeegee, but I ended up smelling like a wino for the rest of the night until I kind of wiped it off with a wet rag or whatever. But that's okay. And unfortunately, this year's Faithless Forum has been delayed, I guess, or canceled, I guess, more or less, till next year. So it'll be the same lineup next year, and I'll be there. So, do
you expect it to be at the same spot? It was in Texas, right?
Yeah, it'll be at the same hotel. Everything, and they've made arrangements with the hotel to delay the bookings for the rooms that we've all going to inhabit during our time there till next year. So everything's hunky dory. I'll just get online at some point and book my room, and it's for a reduced rate for next year. That's all. I've already got my plane ticket, but now I have to cancel the plane ticket and then get a credit or voucher for next year, and then rebook the flights next year. So
hopefully those airlines are still around.
Oh, I'm sure they will be. I'm sure they've bailed them out before. Why won't they do it again?
Man, I don't know how long the dollar is going to be good for. That's my concern. you know, I'm an economics major, even though I don't use that in my job anymore. And so I've got enough econ knowledge to see some of this shit going on, and you know, just understanding that there's some weaknesses in the financial structure that aren't obvious to everybody.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is going to hit some people pretty hard. You know, there are a lot of smaller businesses that are probably going to end up being shut down, right? But once the economy starts rolling again, once everything is kind of a little, we'll never be the same way we were before all this, but it should be relatively close with a few minor adjustments to how we behave and act around in public and stuff like that. Because you know that people are going to be paranoid for shit like this now. So
yeah.
But there'll be a chance to maybe rebound at some point. But yeah, you're right. I think not just here, but our dollar, everyone's fucking dollars are going to take a hit from this because we're doing this globally, really. So
well, and that's the thing about money is it's a representation of wealth.
Yes.
If the whole world hasn't created anything of value in 2 months, I don't know, you know, then the paper's meaningless.
Right. I agree. It's going to be interesting to see where this goes. That's for sure. I'm one of the lucky ones. Call me privileged if you will, but I was able to keep working. Of course, I work in an industry that's considered an essential service. So I still have my job and I have to get up and go there every day. I do all the required stuff to keep myself safe and everyone at work safe. And we all wear the gloves and stuff like that. And in certain situations, masks, but I'm in a lab by myself for the most part, unless someone comes in to talk to me about something. And we do the social distancing. We used to have toolbox meetings every day, but we do them now twice a week, and everyone stands in this giant circle where everyone's like 6 feet apart. And so we're doing our best to make sure that, and so far as I know, nobody where I work has been hit by this yet. So
yeah, I'm in the same boat, and we also canceled our managers meetings, which is cool with me. You know, I don't necessarily want to sit around with all the other managers at 6:45 in the morning because I'm not really awake for another half hour or so, and I sure as shit don't want to talk to the other people whose opinions kind of can have bearing on my day-to-day job. You know,
for sure. Yeah, you guys can't do them virtually, or
you know, we do them sort of as needed, in my opinion. And it's the meetings were a little bit frivolous. They're a good way to get everybody on the same page for the day, but they're not essential. So now what we do is about every other week or so, we'll have one, and we'll just circle up in the yard outside and do them pretty quickly.
That's kind of like what we do. We only do them twice a week rather than every day right now. So it's like one midweek and then one end of the week to see what's coming up for next week, kind of thing. That's how we do.
Yeah.
And they're quick too. They're like 5-6 minute long meetings.
Yeah. Ours are normally quick like that too, unless they're not. You know, there's that one meeting every now and then where people get into things and it goes on a little longer. But no, we haven't been very impacted either. And actually, the owner of the company is really, I'm really pleased with the company I work for. But he's in an effort to support some of the local restaurants and stuff. He has food catered in now twice a week, every Tuesday and Thursday. The whole job site's lunch is on him. And he just chooses a restaurant he wants to support and orders a shitload of food from them, and we get the benefits of it. So
you get to eat.
Yeah, we get to eat. We get to eat free. He's been taking care of us. I'm very pleased with that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's radio commercials on where I live here, where they talk about mom and pop type operations that you really like. They say if you want to help support these type of operations that are having problems right now, go online, order food from them, or order products from them, or even gift certificates. Order a bunch of gift certificates, or what do you call them? The gift cards from them to keep them going, and then you can use them later when everything gets back to some semblance of normalcy. So, I like what my friend Faye here had to say there. Yeah, the shoes, that's a new one on me. Wash the shoes? I'm not sure if that's necessary, but sure. I mean, anything we can do to destroy this bug that's going around really hurting people. And I've heard something new today that I didn't know about. There have been some people, younger folks, that have had this or get infected. They don't really show a lot of symptoms. And then all of a sudden they have strokes. Apparently this thing can affect your blood vessels too. So apparently it's causing strokes in people in their late 20s, 30s, and early 40s with this. There's tons of these strokes happening all of a sudden.
There's so much conflicting information that I don't know. I live in Kansas, in Kansas City. I live in the most infected county, and I work in the second most infected county in the state. And I'm just not seeing. And I've been working the whole time. I've been out of the house, running around, interacting with people. I'm not seeing anything personally that warrants this sort of response. Which of course doesn't mean everything, but I don't know.
I had a friend that he's in a wheelchair and he's immunocompromised, and he died from it just recently. So
I'm sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and my bass player works in an elderly care building, and they've had a death there as well. And there's been many in the area in those types of environments. So I know firsthand that this can attack people.
If you look at the data, from my understanding, flu deaths have taken a huge nosedive this year.
Could be. I don't know. I don't know about that. But you better move again.
You know what? I'm about to go outside and smoke a cigarette anyway.
So we're going with you?
Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah.
All right.
Not right this instant. I got another second in me, but if this thing goes off one more time, I'm just moving out to the garage where I started at. I kind of set up in there before the call and was looking at myself in the camera and going, God damn, this garage rafters make me look homeless and shit. So I figured I'd move inside, but there, Faye made another great point right here. Death from flu is mitigated by vaccines. So the more people that have the vaccines, the less people that are going to actually die from a flu. Most of the flu viruses are not lethal, so to speak, unless you are really fucked up to begin with. But there are some strains that are very dangerous. And those are generally the ones that are covered in the vaccines per year. Yeah, and I don't pretend to know everything, but there's just more information that's conflicting than I think that I'm smart enough to sort through. But what I have seen, the harm caused by our response is obvious. I can see the economic impact happening. Mm-hmm. I can't see the health risk that caused it, which there's a million reasons why that could be. Maybe it's because it's working. I don't know. But like I said, from an economic standpoint, I don't think that a lot of people understand what an absolute, for a lot of places, this is just such a suicide move in response to a viral threat that I'm not entirely convinced is warranted. But I'm also very aware of the fact that I don't know what I don't know.
You know what? Even if we don't know, but people are saying you should stay away from people, self-isolate, or with your family, because you really don't have an option if you do have one. And just stay in, at home. If you need to go out for stuff, keep yourself protected. I mean, it's not that much of an it's better to be prepared and protected than not, right? I mean, who knows?
Yeah. For us, it is. And personally, my life hasn't been impacted much at all. But I can't imagine being somebody in an industry who doesn't have the option, where people like you and I are saying, you have to stop providing for yourself for everybody's sake. Right. I think that if I were in that position, I'd be feeling a whole lot of different about this right now.
Wait, what do you mean?
I mean, if I were a waiter, which I would rather move into a refrigerator box in the alley before I'd ever wait another fucking table in my life. But if that were my livelihood, and if I were being told by the law or the state or society that I have to not support myself by law because everybody's decided that, I think that I would be I'd be a lot more pissed off about these sort of safeguards. It wouldn't look like a safeguard anymore. It's not being cautious. It would be directly impacting my ability to provide for myself and my family. That's not a safeguard in my book. So.
Okay, I see.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
So like I said, for us, it is a safeguard. I do have masks. We've all got these little face shields and shit, and we abide by it. But like I already said, I'm not the segment of society that's getting hurt by this.
So far.
So far.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I don't really take to superstitious stuff like that. But anyways, you get the idea behind it.
Is knocking on the wood, is superstitions close enough to theism that...
Well, theism is a type of superstition too.
Did I just get into the gray area there?
It's okay, man. It's the symbolism behind what you just did. Like, hopefully I don't end up there, and that's pretty much what that whole knocking on wood means. Is hopefully I'm not going to end up that way, and I'm the same, right?
Right.
So Faye wanted to know what is a suicide move.
In context of how I was speaking, closing down the economy in ways that will be that will have long-term devastating effects on.
To the garage.
To the garage. That will have long-term devastating effects on people. So, I think that shutting down the whole world for a month has been a suicide move in a way that we know it's going to kill industries. We know it's going to kill individual businesses, particularly small ones. We know that it's going to have an impact, and we haven't started to feel the impact yet.
Right.
At its worst. I think that a lot of the people who are worst hit by this move economically, they won't start to feel it for a month still.
Okay. That's true. Corpses can't enjoy an economy, so that's true. But it's going to hit us hard. I mean, it's going to fuck the economy up pretty good. But on the flip side of that, how many lives are going to be saved because we're doing this? Right. And
that's what nobody knows.
That's right.
That's the thing you can't answer.
Well, not yet, but we'll find out for sure. I mean, you can't answer any questions like that in regards to any type of disease or bug or bacteria that comes out that could start wiping people out. Super viruses.
I don't think we will find out for sure. I don't think that we're going to get unbiased data. I think that all the news reporting sources have such an agenda, one politically or one way or the other. I think that every official source is so fucking corrupted fundamentally that we're going to get shit data.
I would agree with that. I mean,
I'm very pessimistic in things like this.
Yeah. I mean, well, look what we've been dealing with for the past, fucking 8 years or so with media, how they twist and manipulate shit for their own agendas. You're absolutely right.
Well, I mean, and no matter what you think about Trump or any other politician, you can look at the media coverage of an event and look at the event now on YouTube. You can see them both side by side and know for a fact that you're getting lied to.
Yeah, I've actually seen some similar things like that actually on YouTube and stuff like that. Yes, Wonder Lady. News agencies can sometimes have an agenda. That's absolutely for sure. It depends on. See, the thing is, there's a lot of money for news that comes from political parties or who knows, corporations, stuff like that. Like even PBS has corporations that fund them when people to help with their money.
Well, have you heard of Operation Mockingbird?
No.
Oh, you should look that up sometime. I'm not going to drag you all down the rabbit hole that I'm in. But
Well, yeah.
it's a CIA operation to influence media
Oh,
that
okay.
started in like the 50s. And
No idea.
yeah. So anyways, look that up if you're interested. But that's where my headspace is.
I've never really, it's different here in Canada. A lot of our news sources here are pretty unbiased. They don't really have an agenda, so to speak, here. They just tell the stories as they happen, so to speak. Like the shooting in Nova Scotia recently, they told it as it happened, right? They told it how it happened, what happened, and some of the stuff behind it. But
yeah, what was it, 17 dead or something?
22 in total.
22.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's the largest of its kind in Canada, by the way.
And so what was the cause?
Well, all I know is some dude who faked being a cop, or I think he may have once. I'm not entirely sure on that, but he made a car that looked just like a cop car with decals, and he painted it up, and it was so good that an actual policeman kind of saw him going by and was like, "Oh, kind of thing," right? He even fooled the cop.
Wouldn't you hate to be that cop now?
Right? Yeah, I'm sure there's a level of guilt there, but anyway, apparently he was at a party and he had an argument with his girlfriend or wife or whatever it was, and he got upset and he did this and he went out and he fucking shot some people. They went back to the party afterwards and killed everybody there too.
Wow.
Right? So yeah, he just went off the deep end. I've always wondered what drives people to do something like that, because I couldn't even imagine thinking to do something like that myself, right? But I guess I've never been in a situation that would snap you like that to put you in that situation. But there's a lot of people that were saying that he was kind of a little on the unstable side anyways, and his girlfriend was apparently trying to break up with him, or wife or girlfriend or whatever it was. I'm not entirely sure, but what really shook me about that entire thing is it happened in an area where a friend of mine lives. You may be familiar with Shannon Q.
No.
She's another YouTuber. She's also into psychology and stuff like that. And that happened in her area, like her hood, we'll say. So she's pretty shaken up by that. And it was a really shitty thing to have happen, So
yeah.
Right now, all of us here in Canada are doing the whole, Nova Scotia strong, something like that.
Yeah.
Yes. This was another one a while ago. The École Polytechnique massacre was 14 dead. That's where I think the guy walked onto a campus and started shooting women. I think, is that the one, Faye, you're talking about? I'm pretty sure that was the one. That was a while back though, but that was our biggest one at the time, I think, and now it's this one. It's just, I'll never be able to understand why people do shit like that. But of course,
you have to be a certain sort of person before shit goes wrong. Yeah.
That's right. 89. That's right. Thank you, Faye. And Faye's sister works in the medical industry, so she's able to give Faye a lot of information on what's happening with the coronavirus and statistics and stuff like that, according to the medical research people. So, and now, see, I was hearing conflicting ideas on how long this virus can last outside of a host, right? And apparently it can be up to 3 days. Is that what you said? I believe it was 3 days, and that's fucking scary.
I've heard the half-life is 42 hours.
42 hours? Okay.
That's what I heard last.
Okay.
And that's a half-life, so do with that what you will.
Oh, there we go. Oh my goodness. So the shooter was right outside Shannon Q's front door.
Oh, damn.
Yeah. So it was in her neighborhood where it happened. 3 days on a hard surface. Okay. Fair enough. Papers one day.
We just moved to this house because a lot of shootings and shit going on at the old house, the old neighborhood, and
really
the last day we were moving out. We had 4 cars. I just sold 2 cars because there's just me and my girlfriend driving. We didn't need 4 cars. But the last day I was there, I had a guy over looking at the van, and there was a drive-by that happened right at the end of the street in the middle of the day, which was a new thing. I living in that hood, I was used to shootings happening all at night. But when they start moving into the daytime, it's time to get the fuck out.
Yeah, for sure. Well, fuck, shootings in my neighborhood would want me. I'd want to move anyways because I don't want to be. You say getting used to it. I'm like, I don't think I could ever get used to that. But of course, where I live,
it doesn't
everyone's like,
bother.
"Howdy, neighbor, y'all," and all, or "A" and all that shit, right? So.
I've got this invincibility complex. It never really bothered me much, but it was bothering my girlfriend, and it was time to move out. So now we've gone from the deepest ghetto part of Kansas City to the most suburban upclass part in just one bound. Moved right next to the biggest shopping mall in Kansas City, and it hasn't even been opened yet, which is kind of a blessing because I've got a daughter and a girlfriend. I'm sure it's saved me lots of money already. But
yeah, that's possible.
But it's going to start fucking me real soon.
Well, we'll see what happens. But that's handy though, living beside something like that, because you don't have to go far when you need stuff, right? When it does actually open.
Right.
Some of our malls have had limited openings here as well. Some of them have like vegetable stores in them and stuff, so they open and people can go there and then leave, right? But you're not going to go to a clothing store. You're not going to go to the gaming store that I always go to on the Saturdays and stuff. And
which is actually what I'm really starting to want that now too, because like I need new boots. I actually have new boots. I just
order them online. You can order that shit online, dude.
I have Red Wing boots. So you need to go to the Red Wing store and stand on the sensor thing.
Oh,
right. There's $300 boots, so I got to buy $90 insoles that are specially formulated to my feet for them.
Right. So you want it for the ultimate comfort and ultimate fit, right? So it's going to have all the curvatures of your feet in there, and keep that arch going.
It's the whole deal. Yeah.
Cool. Wow. But you know what? Good footwear is worth it, because without good footwear, you could fuck up all sorts of shit in your back, your fucking legs. It's crazy what bad footwear can do.
And you know what? At the rate that I go through boots at my job, if I spend $400 on a good pair of boots and insoles, it'll last me a year and a half. And if I buy $60 Walmart boots, they're gone like that.
Well, I got some fries here, and they're pretty pricey. They're like $280 a pop, but they don't have any specialty stuff inside. I go and I try them on, and if they fit, I like them. As long as they're size 13 and triple E wide, I'm good to go, because I have these giant fucking Bigfoot feet. So yeah, most of those footprints that those guys are taking out in the woods of people, that's because I was running through them naked. That's probably what.
Yeah, just you with your toes splayed the fuck out.
Yeah, that's right. Just doing that whole toe splay thing, and just to fuck everyone up. So apparently, Faye's telling me now that people who have had or have recovered from corona, some of them are catching it again. As any coronavirus, it'll probably mutate, but your body will be better prepared for it the second time. So,
I mean, I don't understand how this is different from the flu functionally. I understand that it's
new. It's very different.
It's new.
Yes, but it's very different from the regular flu.
But functionally, since it's a virus, it mutates, it causes flu-like symptoms in most people.
It destroys lung tissue, which your regular flu does not do. It can get into your bloodstream and constrict your vessels. And if you already have an issue like high blood pressure, then you're going to be fucked, because that's where the stroke thing happens and the heart attacks thing happens. It is very, very different from the flus that we're used to. This is a new type of super flu, if you want to call it that, but it's not actually a flu. It's a different kind of thing.
Do you think it's a bioweapon?
No. I see no convincing evidence that that's the case at all. Of course, that information could come out, but
I don't have an opinion on it, so it's not a setup question or anything. I just
nope.
I guess I get it. Circumstantially, it does seem like a weird place for a natural virus to spring up.
Viruses can spring up anywhere, dude.
They can.
Anywhere. They can spring up in my backyard.
They can, for sure. They can. But you just wouldn't expect it at a level 4 bioweapon facility.
I don't understand. If this came from an open source food market in Wuhan, where they were selling animals that apparently had this thing in it, and then people started getting sick from it because this thing was able to mutate. And for
well,
humans.
Wuhan it's the only level 4 bioweapon facility in China.
Okay, but
it's just a circumstantial coincidence that doesn't seem like something that should be completely ignored.
Well, I see nothing to back up that it was made as a bioweapon.
Right. And you're a biologist?
No, chemist.
Chemist. Okay.
Yeah.
See, so you've got more insight into this sort of stuff even with that than I do.
Oh, every day we get information that comes in through emails and through paper stuff from lots of stuff involving these kinds of things, because we're an environmental sector, so we get all sorts of news and information, including things like possible vaccines that people are working on, and there's tons of them right now that people are working on. Hopefully, and many of them are going to
70 different vaccines in the works, aren't there?
Oh yeah,
I think I heard 70.
I don't know what the full number is, but I know that there's in at least in BC, there's I think about 8 of them that they're working on. But anyway, and there's a lot of interesting things that are coming out of it. There's who knows, out of this we could find good vaccines for other types of corona type viruses or of different virus families that might help. Plagues are not new, so. Eventually we overcome these things with all the technologies that we have today. And as I was just going to say this too, as my friend Faye pointed out, it could evolve into a more efficient killer over time, because that's what viruses do. They can mutate. We've been lucky so far that none of the known ones that we have been able to mutate. Well, there's 3 that could, which is always covered in the vaccines, by the way, that could potentially kill people. So we that's why everyone says, go get a flu vaccine, because those are the ones that are generally covered, plus the worst one of the season. It's usually about 4 that are covered per vaccine that you get for every year. And it's usually like the definitely the ones that are deadly, and the one that's the worst one for that season that'll knock you on your ass. So I get a flu shot every year. And my company takes care of it. They pay for it all. So
I've never gotten a flu shot. I've just always been under the understanding that I'm young enough and healthy enough that it's kind of unnecessary, which again could be wrong or could be right, but that's just how I've operated.
Sure. And so far you've been fairly lucky, I suppose. You're still here.
I've had a hell of a flu once or twice, but I've made it through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's right. Faye's this is what having someone that works in the medical industry does for you. Gives you some great information. Spanish flu,
and I wasn't trying to drag the whole conversation down into the same thing that everybody's talking about all the time.
That's okay,
anyway.
man. That's just it. Everyone's talking about it because this is something to be concerned of,
right?
Right.
And it's certainly very new and unprecedented. I mean, in the history of the world, there's never been anything to shut down the globe like this. It's really incredible. It's incredible the way that it's shutting things down.
It is. Right.
So I can't see the check. Does Faye have an opinion on if I think my state opens up in a week? Is that too soon,
bad
too
idea.
long?
It's a bad idea.
Is it?
Yep, I believe so. I mean, what you guys can do is, if there are some businesses that you feel may not be essential, but they're secondarily essential, they might should or possibly reopen with some conditional stuff. But I would just stay. Yeah, Faye just said, I think it's suicide. Just stay. Everything should remain as is until we've got more information, a better understanding of this thing. And then we can start making decisions like that, in my opinion. I go to work and I come home. The only other place I ever go when I'm not here is down to my buddy's place, and he stays home all the time because he's immunocompromised. So we keep our distance, and I'm only over there for maybe an hour, just shooting the shit with him, having a beer, and then I go home again.
You don't lick his doorknobs or anything?
No. I wear gloves when I'm down there, so it's okay. And so it's about as much socializing as I do, where I call my mom on the phone or talk to my sister or talk to my bio dad and sister out in mission and whatnot. And so, I do it mostly by phone or video conference. I've spoken to my dad in Summerland through Skype and stuff like that. So.
Yeah. It's really not, I don't have a life either. So it doesn't impact me. I'm not going to bars anymore or anything.
Yeah, me either. They shut them all down here. But my friend that lives below me doesn't have a huge, like most of his family, except his one sister that doesn't talk to him, are gone. So he doesn't get a lot of visitors. So I'll go down there and do the social distancing. I'll sit at one end of the apartment. He'll be at the other end and throw on a couple of tunes, have a quick beer with them, catch up, and then I go home, basically. So.
Yeah, I do feel bad for my daughter and sort of that age group of kids. I can't imagine being a kid and not seeing other kids like this.
Yeah, it's tough, especially for the kids, man, because I don't really think they get a grasp on what's actually going on.
No, I don't think so either.
And Wonder Lady has to be really concerned for this because she lives in New York, dude, and that's where it's hit hard.
Yeah, it has.
Right, so I'm worried for her because of where she lives. I wish there was something I could do because she's an amazing lady. So I wish I could do something, but
send stickers.
Yeah. I should send her a sticker. I got a whole shit ton now. I got to get them out to my patrons, and I haven't done nothing with my Patreon for so long, but I should probably update and throw all the latest videos up there at some point. Should be good. And your mom's in New Jersey, which is also not the good place. I've been showing symptoms since January, but you can breathe. Shit, girl. I hope it's not coronavirus. I just hope not.
I gotta find my cigarettes real quick.
Yep. Yeah, you're right. Dead people cannot enjoy an economy. You're right. I agree with that for sure. But stay safe, Faye. You're one of my favorite people. You know that, even though we may conflict on some stuff that we talk about from time to time. But I think we're big enough to look past that. But I just want you to stay safe. A fever and all the signs since January. Okay. And that's the most that it's gotten to? Oh, that's interesting. Then stay self-quarantined, because by the sounds of it, if you've had these symptoms since January, although I don't imagine you'd rather just you agree with me. If you disagree with me, we'll talk about it. Yeah, since January.
I think that's got to be something else.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long ass time to have any virus at all, isn't it?
Well, some flus and colds can last a long time. I had one that lasted like a month and a half, for fuck's sakes. It was really, really bad for the 3-4 days, but you still had the symptoms that just linger and linger and linger for a long time. But, there's part of that is I smoke. So those types of things that can be respiratory will last longer with me, right? So
yeah, and that's one thing that's been particularly uncomfortable about this shit for me is just those little normal ass smoker coughs you have.
Normal.
Like, I bet you're the same. You get so used to holding those little fuckers in that you can swallow a cough.
I just basically and that's about it. I don't really cough a lot. Usually if I do, it's first thing in the morning. Right. But that's about it. Occasionally it comes out. When I hadn't seen my doctor in years, like probably years and years. And when I finally went and saw him, he goes, "Yeah, you still smoking?" I go, "Yeah, I do." And he's listening, for lungs and stuff like that. And he goes, "I can't believe you're not worse than you are." I'm like, "Oh, maybe I'm a mutant."
Well, you're a singer too. You'd think that.
Yeah.
Don't
might actually help.
Voice coaches kind of. That's not conducive to singing.
No, but it doesn't seem to stop me from singing. right? And I can get some. I've been told by every time I go in to record vocals and stuff, they have to get me to notch down because apparently I got a lot of power behind my voice. So when I remember the first time we started doing this recording stuff in professional studios, and the guy's in there and he's got his headphones. And he goes, "Okay, we'll do the first verse." And I start singing. He's like, "Holy fuck, dude, back away from there." He goes,
"You're a
"Shit,
big
you got
guy.
a
You
lot of
got
power."
big lungs. They can take a lot of carcinogens, apparently."
Yeah, apparently. But yeah, he was like, "I'm a tough old bird." Well, I don't feel sorry. I'm worried about you, Faye, but I know you're tough. So I'm sure you'll come through this.
Part of the reason to worry even more a lot of times.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm always concerned if there's some shit wrong with people that I actually give a shit about. So,
but it's the tough ones that don't get it checked out. And I'm guilty of that shit too. Like,
yeah, I do it too.
At this point in our talk, that I'm obviously one of the tough ones who assumes it won't happen to me and I don't need the shot. And blah blah blah.
When they do develop, and I'm sure they're going to have a few different vaccines for this thing, because it keeps, from what I'm to understand and the information that I get, and apparently Faye has gotten it too, this thing has been mutating a little bit and it comes up differently in different types of people. So that's where the whole stroke thing started, a mutation of that COVID-19 that started to do that. So they're going to have probably a few, and I don't see, I mean, I'm hopeful that, actually Faye and I had this discussion the other day. It's good to be cautious, and I'm fully for that, but I'm also hopeful at the same time that they'll, because human ingenuity is fucking overboard with this one. And there's so many people globally working on this in so many different labs, literally thousands of people working on this, hundreds of thousands, I should say, all over the place. So we're going to have some decent vaccines eventually come out, but I can't see, I'd love it to be sooner, and there's a chance, but I don't see it, at least the first few coming out until fall at the earliest. So people are going to have to stay safe.
Still like 2 to 3 years sooner than a vaccine should come out.
Average for a vaccine to be developed is about a year on average. Some are a little longer. Some have been a little bit less. Angie's here. Oh yeah. Is that link for Angie's PayPal, GoFundMe thing or whatever still available? If it is, we should hit that in the chat at some point. Angie's house just got wrecked by a tornado.
Ooh.
Yeah. She's okay. Family's okay. They even found their kitty, which is good. So I'm happy about that. So Faye wants to know if you would ever consider getting a flu vaccination.
Sure.
I
haven't not gotten it on any sort of principle or anything other than just, the
Superman effect.
I never felt like I needed it. I've heard enough about people getting the flu from the vaccine. And
that will never happen. It cannot happen. Okay, first of all, viruses aren't technically alive, but what they do is they take certain elements of the virus in the flu, which can give you flu-like symptoms, but they're really super mild, and your body usually takes care of that right away. You will never actually get a flu from a virus. That's not what they're for. They're to prepare your body for if that was to happen. So they put the type of that kind of flu is released, but it's not active. It's not a live flu. It's just it trains your antibodies to recognize the signals of what that virus is.
It's like parts, but it's not a car.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. Well, so I guess I've heard enough misinformation or whatever that I've just never felt it necessary. And I did have a job at one point that offered flu vaccines for free on the employer, but most of my jobs haven't been like that, and my current one is not. So I just never thought it was necessary. But yeah, I'm not patently opposed to it for any good reason.
Okay, fair enough. You just felt you haven't needed it.
I haven't needed it, and paying the little bit of attention I do to coronavirus vaccines. The only strong feeling I have about them is that Bill Gates is quite off-putting to me.
He's off-putting to many people. And that's a great point, actually. That's a better way of putting it. The flu shot is a prediction of the mutation of the flu that's coming. It's not modeled off the current live flu. So there you go. And that's actually a much better descriptor of what it is. The flu can flu vaccine or flu bugs can mutate a lot faster than many types of diseases. It's highly adaptive, they say, so it can mutate. And there's an old adage that I used to actually believe myself that you can't catch the same flu twice. Yes, you can. Actually, once it mutates enough, it'll come back to you, and it's just your body will be better prepared for it the second time around, even after a mutation, so it'll be able to handle it a little better. Anyway, well, dude, we're getting close to the hour, so you're down for the after party, right?
I'm down.
All right, cool. Then we'll get into that, and we'll try to talk about other things. I think we've covered the corona thing and flus and stuff, and I'm all for this. I mean, like, people stay the fuck home, keep your hands washed. I just had did it, and I've got some hand sanitizer, although I recommend that using minimally or when you absolutely have to, because it will actually kill the good bacteria on you, and you can also get sick from that too. So use the sanitizers when necessary. Stay masked up if you're going to an area with lots of people. Just keep safe, people, and stay home. Basically all the
be smart.
that people say. Yeah, be smart about it. That's right. And just don't just do whatever you feel is the best research you can do for this stuff to figure out what you need to do. There are legitimate sources you can go to. And there's also going to be sources that have apparently fooled many friends of mine outside of this that, it's just like the flu. No, it's fucking not. So stop saying that. But it's funny. One of my friends is actually a Trump supporter, and he believes everything. I'm like, so you're going to go drink some Clorox now? Should I send you a couple of cans down there for you? Fucking idiots.
I think that's exactly one of those news things, because that's exactly why I'm so pessimistic about our news, because I was watching that press release, and then the next day I saw the things that they're saying, and which is, you have to really, really want to misunderstand him to get that out of it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Fuck the media.
Yeah, be like my friend Donna, who lives in my neck of the woods, says, be smart, stay safe, and above all, be kind. That's very important. All right, man. Well, thanks for joining me today, dude. It was a lot of fun chatting with you. We didn't really do too much about deconversion, but
there's just not a lot there for me. I had a pretty mellow go of it religiously, and that's been one of the interesting things for me, just being around here, stumbling across your channel, is seeing other people's perspectives. Because, like I said, it didn't ever make sense to me why you would identify as not something. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. There seemed to be some sort of disconnect I didn't get. Now I'm kind of learning that people are having much rougher times with some elements of religion than I ever did. I got lucky in that way. So it makes sense to me why, if you had this establishment in your life that was overtly harmful and negative, why you would want to stand against that. So
right. Oh, you hear that? I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to hear, but
I did not. I just got stomping across the upstairs. Somebody was running.
Well, here in Vancouver, everybody goes outside at 7:00 at night and bangs pots and pans, claps, cheers. There's those horns that you use at like sports, the horns or whatever, the fog horns or whatever they are. Honking their horns, blowing off fireworks. Well, they were told to stop doing that because it was scaring the fuck out of animals every day. but they do it for the healthcare workers and all the essential services as a thank you. And there's now commercials that are coming on the radio where I live that say that they notice this and they're touched by it. And
that's cool.
Yeah. So when I'm not doing my show, I'm out there every time with them and doing that stuff. So. Yeah, I mean, these are people that are risking their own lives to take care of us. So that's a huge.
Well, they've been risking their own lives for a long time. This isn't the first time that.
Fair enough. Yeah. Right. Yeah, but they're always there. Anyways, All right. Well, thanks everyone for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the conversation. Yeah, I know that we talk about this virus thing quite a bit these days, but it's important. And I think people should be updated on information that we find out and stuff like that. And I now know that my friend Faye is one that I can rely on to bring me some of the updates that I may not get at the lab, but we get a lot of stuff there. So,
well, and it's a fascinating event in human history, no matter how you splice it.
Oh yeah,
this shit's unprecedented. So
yeah. Last time we had anything remotely close to this was the Spanish flu, which, as Faye mentioned earlier, eventually mutated so much that it was ineffective on us at some point. So, and Angie, stay safe. All right, and hopefully things improve for you. Apparently, some of her insurance is going to help cover some of the costs of rebuilding. So that's good. All right, guys. That's it for this show. Hope you guys enjoyed it. And until next time, remember, guys, stay safe and well, and always be kind. And like the late, great Christopher Hitchens once said, it's called faith because it's not knowledge. And we'll see you guys next time. And the after party will be going in about 10 minutes, okay? We'll see you guys.